Hello everyone, Dominic Palazzolo here with Marvelous Molds. I have something new that I'd like to show you. It's actually a new silicone onlay, and it's a new lattice design, and I was kind of inspired to create this design because I've seen it a lot in like really intricate metalwork and even in fashion fabrics. So I took it to my artists and we worked it into a silicone onlay, and I'm going to make it and show you what it looks like, and I hope you like it. Okay, so this could also serve as a review. Some of you may have never heard of a silicone onlay, and so let me show you how this is done. So I have a sheeted piece of fondant. It's about 1/16 of an inch thick, and I'm going to put it right on top of my silicone onlay, and then I'm going to press down with my fingers. Okay? And it's very, very important that you get the thickness of the fondant right, okay? And I have to say that if you want to try to become an expert at silicone onlays, the whole secret is finding the setting on your sheeter that gives you a result like this, okay? So I'm going to hold it up to the close-up camera, and I want you to look at that. You see, when you see that kind of design coming through, just like that, then you know that your thickness is probably pretty good. Now I'm going to take a fondant smoother, okay? And I'm going to press down, just straight down. And I'm pushing that fondant down into this bladed design, okay? And that fondant is, or those blades are just kind of cutting through from the bottom, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a second pass, and with circular motions I'm pressing down, and that really kind of sends those blades right through the fondant, okay? Just like that. So let me show you on the close-up camera what that looks like. Okay, that's what you're looking for. You see that? It's almost like black lines, right? But that's actually the blade, the silicone blade of the onlay cutting through. This is probably the most important thing that you can remember about an onlay. And if you get this right, it's all downhill from here. All right, next step is I'm going to take some edible glue, and we're going to paint the entire pattern. Okay? We're going to paint that with a soft brush. We're really going to make sure that the surface here is coated. Okay? We have our edible glue applied, and now what we're going to do is make a decision. Okay? Believe it or not, this silicone onlay can give you two different designs that you'll be able to put onto the side of a cake. So most people like the lattice, and that's what we're going to make first, okay? So what that means is that we are going to take out the pieces, okay? We're going to take out the non-lattice pieces that make up this design. So what I'm just using is a pointed tool, and I'm just kind of flicking it in there, lifting these pieces away. And if you got your thickness right on the fondant, these are going to come right out, okay? just want to tell you that kids like this part of working with an onlay. They love learning how to snare these babies out of here. Okay, so I've removed all the pieces, as you can see, and now we're going to take this excess around the edge that is also perfectly cut. Okay? Now, I want to tell you that many of you think, oh my gosh, that fondant, it has all that edible glue on it, and gee, that's, you know, I'm probably going to have to throw that away. I can't use that. But you know what? I'm telling you, it's not true. Just work the edible glue back into your fondant, and it's absolutely fine for continuing to make more silicone onlay panels or for any other project, okay? Don't get stuck in that rut of thinking that you've got to throw it away just because you put a little water, sugar, and gum on it, which that's basically what edible glue is. Okay, I am going to stretch my silicone onlay. This is a good time for you to remember that the first word is silicone, which means you can stretch this puppy, okay? And that's what I want you to do. And I rub my fingers underneath. You see that? I push that fondant up a little bit so that we can get some air. Let's get some air behind there, okay? Especially on the edges. Okay, let's see what this looks like on a cake, okay? So I'd like to say hi to every one of you, the thousands of people that I've met all over the world when I go to a cake show or I do some type of demonstration. And you've all seen my traveling cake, okay? So this is my traveling demo cake. And it's nice and hard, but let's imagine that this is a cake that you've covered with fondant. Okay, and now we're going to start decorating it. But I also want you to know that this could as easily be a cake that is iced with buttercream. All right, you can make a hybrid cake with a silicone onlay whereby most of the cake is buttercream. Most people like buttercream better than fondant. But then you can use fondant, and not really a lot, in order to get those dramatic accents and designs that you just can't do with buttercream. Okay? The only secret that I want to tell you is refrigerate your buttercream iced cake so it's nice and firm. And then what I'm going to show you right now is going to transfer right onto the buttercream. And that applies to just about any icing like ganache, etc. Okay? All right, so here we go. I want you to know that this fondant is going to stay into your silicone onlay, okay? So you can just walk it anywhere that you want, all right? And so what we do is we take it and we're going to bring one side to the cake. You see that? One side to the cake. And then we bring it around without stretching it, okay? Don't pull on it. Just bring it around so that we get some natural contact with the surface of the cake. So I'm just going to rub that outside of the silicone onlay, and because this is a lattice and it's got a lot of details, I'm really making sure that I'm getting some beautiful contact and adhesion between the one side of the glued fondant and the surface of my cake. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of open it up, and I'm looking right down inside, making sure that I'm getting transfer. Do you see that? See how I'm getting the transfer, all right? Now when you get good at this, you just take this silicone onlay off nice and quick, but there you go, okay? There it is in the close-up camera, and let's show that design, all right? There it is, the garden gate silicone onlay, and I'm sure that this design might look familiar to you, okay? You've probably seen this in a lot of different ways, and we just thought how great if we could bring this design to cake decorating, because it's so iconic and so beautiful. All right, so what we're going to do now is I want to show you what this design looks like around an entire cake. Okay, so here I have the last panel that I'm applying to my cake, and so let's just take it off and let's take a look. Isn't that beautiful? Now I want to tell you that this is impossible to do by hand, all right? It requires a silicone onlay, but look at the beautiful design that you can put on a cake with the silicone onlay. Remember when I told you that a silicone onlay, especially a lattice silicone onlay, can give you two different designs? Well, I thought you'd like to see the second design that you can make from the silicone onlay, and you know, I'd love to know which one you like better. So I'm going to put some cornstarch on my fondant. Okay? It always helps with the release, not so much that you're going to affect the color of the fondant. Okay? All right. Put a fondant on the onlay, and the first thing is to press it in with your fingers. Second step, press straight down with your fondant smoother. Third step, while pressing down, also move your fondant smoother in a circular motion. Fourth step, apply your edible glue. Okay, now we're going to remove the fondant that we don't want to put onto the cake. So just a couple minutes ago, we were removing the bits, okay, the pieces that are not part of the lattice, but we're going to keep those there, and we're going to remove the lattice, all right? So what I like to do is I like to start slow and remove this lattice using the tool. And it's like kind of a spider web, and you can pull it out. See that? See what that looks like? All right. And so we're just going to take that. Kind of sticky. All right, now you probably noticed one of my pieces kind of came with the lattice, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it right back in there, and we're good. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take the excess around the outside. I'm just going to work this back into my fondant and use it for another project. Okay. Well, ta-da! All right, do you see the difference? All right. It's really pretty, isn't it? Okay. So remember now, you want to stretch your silicone onlay. You can stretch in all directions, and that loosens those pieces. Let's put the second design from the Garden Gate silicone onlay right next to the first design, okay? And let's compare the two. Again, we're just going to put one side right onto the cake, and then we bring it around without stretching it. Okay? Now, just like I put this panel, okay, this new silicone onlay next to the existing panel, that's what you'll be doing when you use the silicone onlay as you go around the cake. We've designed it so that the designs mesh and come together and interlock into a seamless design around the side of your cake. Okay, so let's go ahead and peel the onlay. And with these pieces now, I'm just going to take a little extra attention, since they're not interconnected like a lattice. You really gotta maybe take your time and just make sure that you've got a good transfer. Okay, now there's the design. You see that? There is one design that you get from the silicone onlay, and then there is the matching but different design that you can get from the silicone onlay. So what can you do with this? Well, if you're doing a wedding cake or a multi-tier cake, right, you can put the lattice on one tier, and then you can put the alternative design on the next tier. They really mate together well because they're all part of the same design. So that is the Garden Gate silicone onlay, and if you like this style of decorating, I really recommend that you give it a try. You can find the onlay available with a whole other collection of silicone onlays at marvelousmolds.com. And while you're there, why don't you join our newsletter, and you'll always know the new products that we're coming out with. You also get notices of sales that we have. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, and in that way you also see what we're coming out with. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and stay tuned because we're always working on something new.